How? Is it not coming through?
No, the timer's still counting down.
So it's telling me that orientation is locked. Tater. Except we look like we're uncouth people that have laundry hanging off of windows. Okay, but will this... Oh, hey, there you go. Okay, but well, let me go like this. Okay, apparently we have orientation locked for streaming. I think that will work on a slight delay. Hey guys, sorry for any of the technical hiccups here. We've never actually tried this before. Hey, Ann, so you ended up out on the West Coast while we're out, we're in Colorado right now. Nice if I
Hello.
could. We actually start on June 28th, so we have just a couple of days. We're here in Colorado Springs for one more day. Then we fly to Glacier and we're staying with somebody for a night. And then we start hiking on the 28th, so very close. Hey, Avery. As far as how long the hike is going to be, our guess is until November sometimes, but it's kind of hard to tell. We'll have to excuse our kind of hokey setup here.
No, came back from Indonesia 5 days ago or so.
Yeah, we came back and you lose a day coming back, so we were on 5 hours of sleep for days and days and days.
Yeah,
I still don't know what time zone I'm on. And yeah, Tony, I'm glad some people actually like those dive videos, because you wouldn't believe how much extra work I put into those versus the vlogs. 2 different types of video and I have to process everything. They're fun for me to make, but then I post them and people are like, we want to see you do the CDT. But she's happy because, you know, I've got all the clownfish video in there.
Yeah, at least now we can remember all the clownfishes forever.
Avery, as far as how do we support, we do have a Patreon and stuff like that if you're interested there. If you're in the area, some people come out and bring like veggies and beer. Good combo, veggies and beer, you know. Yeah, clownfish / dickfish is what I call them, because, what? Don't
They
you
didn't
know
even
us?
see the one where it bit the camera yet, right?
It's on our Instagram. I was videoing some clownfish, and a clownfish that big came up, attacked the GoPro, and I had to fight it off by threatening to flick it. So, yes, yay, dickfish. Hey, Cindy. Number 1 trail, probably not the Condor Trail. PCT, honestly. I mean, that was the first one we did that was, you know, I wanted to do that for 10 plus years. And it was just such a cool experience because in 2020, very few people were out there. So it was like doing it 10 years ago. Ironically, I would do the PCT again in a heartbeat, but I'd want to do it with 300 people out there instead of 5,000, which I don't think we're ever going to see again. Next pandemic, PCT though.
You said Florida Trail too.
Oh yeah, Florida Trail. I'm absolutely taking her on, but I want to make sure it's deep again because the water level got about this deep, and that would have been very, very good video. You know, just like her hat floating with bubbles.
I'd be okay if it was a little less deep. You know, see the pretty forests, pretty rivers. Don't have to wade through neck-deep swamps.
Yeah, it was more like waist deep on a log, and you didn't know how deep it was underneath it. So, yeah, so Florida Trail I absolutely want to do again. PCT I wish I could do again. The AT, if I did that again, would have to be southbound. So we'll see. There's just so many things out there I want to do. Honestly, there's a whole bunch of international trails that we've been talking about wanting to do, like the Terrora, International AT and stuff like that. That's going to be just bound by funds. I don't think we have to worry about running out of things. I mean, we just spent the last 2 days, in addition to this like panic packing of all our stuff out here, planning on a 6-day, 200-some-mile paddle in Florida, and possibly going to Bonaire.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we usually don't have a problem with running out of activities. Sobo on the Colorado Trail. Sweet. Seem to have a lot of friends that have done the Colorado Trail. I actually don't know that much about that one. Hey, Allison. Yeah, and see, if we go to the Swanee, I was all excited because I feel like after the ECT that I know all these people out in Florida, so we get to like wave to people as we go by. Plus gators and... Florida Trail was really awesome, James. You just have to be ready for what it is. Some people quit in a huff not liking it because of the road walks and stuff like that. It wasn't easy, but it's a really unique trail. I would absolutely do that one again in a heartbeat. Better shoes, though, especially for southern Florida. Yeah, so the interesting thing about the CDT, Amy, is there's not like a set line. Normally on the AT or the PCT, when you look on, I want to call it gut hooks, but it's far out now, there's one trail to follow. And so you have a line and you just have to stay on that. With the CDT in areas, it goes all over the place. You can cut hundreds of miles out. We may have to divert at mile 50 because apparently there's a whole pile of cattle that died in the middle of the winter and are lying out there. And the grizzly bears went, cool, buffet. And are now like feeding on the cattle or defending the area, so they don't want us going through there because, you know, it's bad for the grizzlies if they rip people apart. So yeah, it's looking like we'll find out when we get out there and talk to them over our permit, but we may get to do a road walk at mile 50.
Oh, I don't want to road walk through Glacier.
It's a pretty road. It's the high snow route, so people do it all the time. Where do we decide to go when we aren't hiking a long trail? Well, we're kind of based in SoCal still because of her job and the wilderness class. So by default, we go back there. And then it's just whatever we can jam in. I mean, like, the plans for the start of this year was just kind of like, oh, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do this. And then we just kept adding things. Because, like,
yeah,
the
he pretty
CDT prep
much
period.
looks for any continuous line on a map anywhere around Southern California, so standards aren't super high when you're looking for somewhere to walk between the bigger trips.
Are you bashing on the Trans-County Trail again? There was a sticker there somewhere. So yeah, I like doing things that are things, and I also have a habit of not wanting to do them partially. So for example, we did the Trans-Catalina Trail a couple of years ago, and most people who say they've done the Trans-Catalina Trail, it's like 32 miles. That's not the case if you do the research and you find out all the various trails that have made up the Trans-Catalina Trail over time. It was 65 miles, and we did that entire thing. So what happens is she comes in with a plan that's very reasonable, and then I come in and help, and all of a sudden we're doing like, what was that day in Florida? 6 dives in a day?
Oh, that was the most tired I've ever been.
It's the most tired you've been so far. Still got a lot of ways to go. Let's see, Avery, as far as the AT Association giving me credit for the AT, no, I actually technically do not have credit for hiking the PCT because they said no hiking that, the PCTA said no hiking there. They didn't start acknowledging miles on the AT until sometime in May, so I was already on the trail. So really what I'm looking for is for the CDT organization just to not acknowledge my CDT hike, at which point I'll have a Rebel Triple Crown and everything will be good. So we'll see how this one goes. Let's see. Ice Age Trail, yes, that is on the list, but basically anything I haven't hiked is on the list, and some of the things I've already hiked is on the list to do again. I'm bad about stuff like that. How
long will Jen be with you on the trail? So I have about 7 weeks left of summer vacation, so I get to hike with him for about 7 weeks. This time we tentatively marked it out, and we think that I might make it to around the entrance of Yellowstone and fly back from there.
Except she just admitted that publicly, so the universe is now going to screw us over, and God knows where we're going to end up. Assuming we can even... We don't know. Somebody's going to ask about the situation around Yellowstone. We don't know yet. The northern end of Yellowstone is closed. The southern end's open. We don't know how much the CDT is going to be affected. I've been looking, but since there's only a couple hundred people doing this trail, there's not as much information as is usually on the CDT or the AT. But 7 weeks, Yellowstone-ish, we think. So the good news is she'll be leaving right before the hard state, which is apparently Colorado, which is like the one that makes everybody cry. Just be me and Peepers.
Yeah, it's a little bummer that it's a little bit shorter this summer, but I mean, it was totally worth it to be in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And also I'm really happy that this time I get to start at the northern end, because the northern part of the other trails has been kind of the nicest part, it looks like. Or would have been my favorite part probably, because like lush green, wet, a little bit more remote and stuff. So I'm super excited to start up in Montana for that part.
And it's grizzly country, so it's good, because if we're chased, it's important to have a hiking partner that's a little slower.
No, it's safety in numbers.
Oh, okay. We do have bear spray and all the usual precautions up there. We don't screw around when we're in either Glacier or the Sierra. Let's see. Would I start the Florida Trail in the Keys again with Taters or Big Cypress?
Never do the Keys. Don't anyone do the Keys. Not worth it.
That would be a hard one for me, because I would end up looking at it like I did last time and going, Florida Trail doesn't go across all of Florida. I'm missing that. But I really don't want to ever walk the Keys again. Honestly, I would be tempted to do a southbound on it, because then you start out at the cool beaches around Fort Pickens. You get to go through Eglin Air Force Base and get into the fun, druggy areas. And then by the time you're in southern Florida, like around Clewiston, you're just flying. Versus I had problems on all the flats in Clewiston due to my shoes. But we'll see. It depends. I really like Big Cypress, so I would start there. I'd actually go to Robinson Lake Trail at the very least, because that was the 8 miles south of Big Cypress, and they've apparently blazed it better now. Let's see. What new tent did you end up getting? I'm actually waiting for the Nemo Hornet 2-person to come back in stock. When it's us, we use a 3-person tent because she looks little, but she gets in the tent and she's all like that. I don't like having that tent when it's just me because it's harder to set up. I really like my Nemo Hornet. I mean, it's green. It's pretty much indestructible, and I don't have to use a ground cloth, and I don't like ground cloths. I'm just waiting for them to get enough stock that they offer it on Pro Deal so I can buy another. Mine has pretty much had it after 2 through hikes and a lot of bonus miles. The zippers only work in certain directions, stuff like that. So hopefully you'll see me with a brand new Hornet in 7 weeks. Hopefully. Let's see. Can't wait to see me in Colorado. Well, we are in Colorado now, but yeah, that section's going to be interesting. Should be pretty at least, but I expect the weather to be a challenge. I should be back down here in September, I think it is. And from what I've seen, it's getting through Colorado, getting through the San Juans. That's the where I have to get before winter sets in. And then New Mexico is just going to be cold with no water and a lot of cows. But the cow drill in the water probably makes it warmer, so that would help. You mix coffee in it, it's all fine. Thanks, Ken.
Triple Crown t-shirt.
Rebel Triple Crown. Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to tell people not to hike the CDT. I mean, you could argue that the fire season and the grizzly bears have told people not to hike the CDT this year, but other than that, we're all good. Dream Nacho Plate was the one in Oregon. It was like the El Monstro nachos. It had 3 kinds of meat. It was a giant pile. It was the most amazing thing ever. Versus like the abominations on the AT that they called Ultimate Hiker Nachos. Still bitter about that place. And hikers liked that place. I think it was the Doyle. Oh, I don't think I've heard of the Lake Placid Trail. Yeah, Loop Road Trail. It was passable when I went through it, but I hear it's been improved a little bit. And that gives you more swamp walking time, and that's the real treat of Big Cypress, so I'd stop there. Okay. It's the one thing that they should know about
You should
me.
know that is not shown on video.
I show all the things on video.
That even though it seems like he shows all the things on video, there's actually much, much more that doesn't make it past the video filter. So, yeah, you think he talks a lot on video, he talks even more not on video.
What about all the giggling I cut out? There was that one morning where it's like 4 minutes of you trying to say a sentence and just
Yeah,
cracking
the
up.
editing works both ways. He makes me look a lot better in the videos, too.
And makes me look, I tend to edit myself to look badly because it amuses me. Okay, how are we resupplying? We were actually just, we're staying at my parents' right now, and the other room was just filled with 22 days worth of food. So I like buying as we go, and we are going to be doing that once we get going, but for this initial section, we have a 6-day carry, right? And then we have 2 boxes that are being sent along the way. Is it just the 2?
Yeah, and then a third one later.
And then the third one we're sending later because at that point I'll be out of shoes, and so we have to get mail anyway. So primarily we're intending to buy. There are stops on the CDT. They're spread out a little more than like on the AT, but you know, a 5-6 day food carry gets you pretty far if you're doing 20-mile days. And it's not Family Dollars, it's Dollar General. Come on, they're the ones with the better wine. We are going southbound on the CDT. When I looked into it originally, my understanding is the CDT was traditionally more of a southbound trail, and the important thing to me is I want to be able to do an end-to-end. I don't like flip-flopping, skipping, stuff like that. And from everything I looked at, the best chance of that was southbound. And then it just happened to work with the Indonesia trip and all of that. And as it turned out, if I had started northbound and been a little slower, there were fire closures of a good chunk of the northern part of the state, so people had to jump ahead. So we'll see what the southbound experience has to throw at us. So far, grizzly bears. We wanted to start at Waterton, but at least currently our permit is for Chief Mountain. I'm not sure if they're allowing crossings from Waterton. That situation has been a little odd the last couple of years.
I think it's still closed.
Yeah, because you got to go through an actual like port of call. So right now the plan is we start at Chief Mountain. Depending what the rangers tell us, like I was hoping to maybe do the Highline Trail, but honestly I don't worry too much about trying to hit everything while we're doing this because I figure we'll be back any given place.
Also, the snow. I think it's harder to start early on the Waterton side because those campgrounds aren't scheduled to open till like July 15th.
There's that. Yeah, and snow sucks. I have friends who have been going through the PCT Sierra section, And I very intentionally started later on the PCT to hit that section without snow, and it was great. So now I'm seeing all my friends post all and going, that's why we started late. Also because I had to teach a class, Will there be a Taters Thursday? So the thing you guys don't see is to get her talking on video, she just looks all like cute and happy. It takes like a day and a half of harassment. And then she records, and sometimes she gets like manic, and it's like every butterfly she's like recording. And then the next day she won't even talk anywhere near the camera. And she's burned out for days, just like, ugh.
It doesn't come naturally to all of us.
She didn't even used to like having her picture taken before meeting me. Then you had to get used to that, and then the video thing started. So, and now you're famous. She got recognized in a Walmart on ECT. Was it? Yeah, and she wasn't even with me.
Taters Tuesdays will continue. We're going to be starting the CDT on Tuesday, so I'm going to have things to talk about.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I've got something to say.
No commitment as far as other Tater days.
So I'm just going to be sadly narrating to my own phone, unable to post the video. I see. Here we go. My favorite on-trail meal, burrito or nachos and beer. I mean, that's more on at town stops. So what's your favorite meal?
A big pile of vegetables. That's the main thing that I miss out there. So at least like home. Okay, the thing that we crave or that I crave when we're on the trail is there's a Mongolian barbecue place at home where you can just get a plate and pile it full of like 12 kinds of vegetables and then put the sauce and stir fry it all together. So I really miss that. Now, very rarely have we found that on a trail town. I mean, some of the towns like Ashland had good food.
Yeah, that's rare though. It's usually, here's a burger. Here's a burger that we dropped on the floor. It doesn't look too good, but you're a hiker.
There were a couple places on the ECT.
Yeah, the funnest one was her going into a Waffle House and asking for the vegetarian menu and getting that look like we don't serve your kind here. But yeah, we find the occasional things. Honestly, you get a lot less picky, but it's usually the fresh things that you can't get. Veggies are usually, and I like Mexican food, chips and salsa when you're thirsty. Oh, and like iced tea, soda, beer.
The getting a whole pizza and sitting in a hotel bed and eating it will be always a fond memory.
Did I use that on the Patreon tier?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was very, people like that. That way we don't have to share. You know, you get your own pizza, nobody loses a finger because you're all really hungry. About how high the elevation. I don't know what the high point of the CDT is offhand. There are a bunch of peaks around the trail. I don't know that I'm going to be doing that many of them. I mean, honestly, my big thing is I'm stressing about I want to make the entire trail. I don't want to, if I don't make it all the way, I'm not the sort of person that's going to come back next year, start from wherever I ended and just continue. I'm going to have to start from the beginning again until I do it. I was really paranoid on the AT. I was going to like break a leg right before Katahdin and then have to go all the way back from Springer just to get that last 2 miles. Well, 2 miles I could have crawled, but yeah. So it is high altitude. My understanding is for Colorado, most of the time you're above 11,000 feet, which means, you know, altitude, which you adapt to, but also wild weather. So that will be fun. Thanks, Element. It's really fun hearing people followed us on the ECT because, I mean, there were 24 subscribers on my channel when I left Key West. It was basically just some of my WTC students looking at clips I had posted. And then it's like, oh, okay, maybe we'll get like 100 people. And it's really fun finding out people like followed me for that length of time. Taters brainstorm monologues, or think about things that make you mad. Cutest animals today? Oh, are there turtles on the CDT? That's what people want to know. People wonder, did I put the turtles in my pack, just run around, put them, so she would... I think you just had a stroke. She does that eye roll thing What are you most looking forward to on the CDT? I'm looking forward to having a trail that is more wildernessy. I mean, I had fun on the AT. I got to meet a lot of neat people, but I don't like the crowds, especially camping. And this seems like it's going to be more kind of that out camping by yourself wilderness experience. I don't know. What are you looking forward to?
I hope to see a moose.
I hope to get video of her being chased by the moose, because that would make a great thumbnail. And you're the one with... Did we get that dismemberment insurance?
No, we did not.
Oh, maybe we should. She's the one with life insurance and things, so... If somebody's going to be mauled by a moose... What? She's really annoyed at somebody standing right over there. Hi. Everybody's a fan of Taters Tuesdays. Most popular person on the channel. Dennis is the second most popular person, and I come at a distant third. How do I stay focused on long hikes? I was going to do a video on that, but it's always hard to record with all of the running around. Boredom on a long hike is actually a big thing if you're out there for months and months and months, because it's just, you start out and you're all excited. Some days it's beautiful, things are great. Some days, the weather's bad. Those aren't that bad. It's those ones that are kind of in the middle. There's like a couple of mosquitoes, it's a little too warm, stuff like that, and it just drags endlessly. I listen to audiobooks religiously. That's why I always have the headphones in, and that helps me. I usually wake up in the morning, start listening to music for like the first hour or two, and then once my energy level, caffeine level starts to go down, then I switch to an audiobook, which is hopefully good. And if it's not, I get very annoyed at the audiobook. Skippy book. You have to listen to that when you start. A baby moose? Yeah, that would be cute. Yeah, I saw 2 moose on the ECT, but that was on the IAT in Maine. Yeah, I feel like we've coined the hiker wine thing, which they're cardboard. It makes perfect sense. I don't know why.
That's a good idea, Matt.
It's not an idea. It's literally, they have them in the stores for people that don't want to deal with bottles. We won't be carrying any on the initial section because we're actually worried about weight and everything starting out, but I am hopeful that we will find some along the way. Or that we'll have cool people come meet us. The Life with Lappies people last time, we pulled up and they had a puppy for Jen to play with, and they had like a wine bar selection for us with recommendations from the guy. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Ah yes, Gray's Peak. That does sound familiar. And I'm looking forward to doing some of them. I don't like dropping my pack when I'm through hiking. I don't like leaving it unattended. I've had students in the Sierra who did that, and then there were like marmots, mice, things like that chewing into the pack. So if I'm going to do a peak, that means I'm carrying all my stuff up and down, which that means Peepers gets to do all the peaks. But people think I'm crazy because I was climbing up Dragon's Tooth with my full pack on, but. Yeah, the walking back to pick up the camera thing is one of those things that always kind of takes me out when I watch other people's videos. I don't know. I like the feeling of authenticity. I say we go do our videos, but we're just videoing the hike we're doing. At some point, it feels like you're going out and you're happening to hike something while you video.
This is why he refuses to give me lines. I told him it'd be much easier to be on camera if he would just help give me lines and things to say.
Oh, I gave you lines, but they were, of course you can have a third cup of coffee. You deserve nachos. Have a third pitcher. Those lines she didn't want. Equipment video, I have just been harassing her, trying to get her to do an equipment video, which again, you wouldn't believe how much harassment is involved in getting her to do that. We just got our gear assembled here.
I'm going to do one tomorrow.
Yeah, we have one day, so we can still do that. I was hoping to do an intro to CDT video, the equipment video for her, equipment video for me, and then we'll see what else we have time for.
This is Peepers. He's a tarsier, and Matt got him on Catalina Island like 10 years ago, right?
More than that.
More than 10 years ago. He's never been washed.
Here's Tater. She hasn't been washed for 2 days.
But he goes everywhere. He goes everywhere with Matt. Yeah, he's done like 7,000 miles now.
More than that. It's JMT twice, all those other things.
And I made him an outfit that looks like the outfit Matt wore on his first JMT hike.
Because before that, he was a nudist, and you know, that didn't go over that well. First time I did the JMT, I had a sport kilt on, and so I'd be walking along, and it's funny because there's two types of reactions when you're wearing a kilt and you're hiking. One is people see you coming, and it's like you're getting thumbs up. Oh, that's so cool! And then there's the other ones where they see you coming, and their eyes kind of just like slide off of you, and then they walk to the very other side of the trail, which isn't very far because you know it's just a trail, and they're trying to like avoid you. But it's very freeing until you sit down, bare butt cheeks on granite. Not so good.
Yeah, I think you had some issues with the snow too.
Yeah, so if you're kick stepping with a kilt, what you don't realize is when you kick step in snow boots, it actually shoots snow straight up. So it's a very kind of refreshing spritzing sort of thing going on, but it's like kick, woo, woo. And then the wind picked up going up there, so there's kind of a picture of me, you know the Marilyn Monroe famous thing where she's holding her dress down? It's like that, except it's not Marilyn Monroe, it's me, and it's me holding a kilt down on a snow slope. What? Why are you glaring at me? All these great Instagram photos.
Yeah, you better dig it up. They're gonna want to see it now.
I was trying to work on the 100th naked dive video. Gotta get out and actually hike. Let's see. Hey! Heather and Andres! Yeah, that was so fun meeting you guys out there. And you were at the start of the Green River thing, like right after us. I think you missed us by a couple of days. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the lack of humidity on this trail. Thank you very much. James, we don't really watch other hiker YouTubes. I have some friends that I'll kind of check up on sometimes, but quite frankly, since it's something I do a lot, I'm not that interested. When I'm watching YouTube, it tends to be like people with exotic pets. When I joke about getting a monkey, it's because like I watch people on YouTube that have capuchins. And then I'm like, Masochist and the monkey would have a logo, probably get 1 million subscribers. Everybody else is in favor of it, but no. So yeah, I don't like regularly follow any. It's also kind of hard to keep up with since I'm on the trail. Oh, there you go. Ann will do your lines for you. Why, yes, Matthew. Have more nachos and beer, please.
I think she's going to come up with better ones than that.
Do we carry bear spray? So in areas with black bears, I do not ever carry bear spray. Black bears are basically giant raccoons, and unless they're habituated, like what happens on the AT, don't get me ranting on that, they're not a risk. Grizzlies, they do recommend them for Glacier, and we are going to carry the spray in Glacier. Having said that, with all the various people I know, students, etc., I don't know of anybody who has actually successfully deployed bear spray at a bear and had it work. I know several people that have inadvertently sprayed themselves with bear spray. There were some hikers last year who they were carrying their bear spray, decided they were sick of it, and they recorded themselves spraying it up into the air in a windy area and promptly maced themselves.
Well, you don't know anyone who's been charged by a grizzly bear either.
No, I know people have
But
been
it's
charged by
supposed to
bears.
be a last-ditch resort.
Yes, I just want to meet somebody who, you know, a grizzly bear roars 30 feet away, charges. They reach down to their waist, undo the Velcro, pull out the bear spray, point it at the bear, not at their face, flick the safety, and then discharge it straight into the bear's face. While their friend is recording, of course, because no proof. They just always seem to, all the deployments I can think of are people who set them off in their tent accidentally, set them off in their car accidentally. And that one story about the guy who thought it was like bug spray, sprayed his family down, thinking he'd keep the bears away. That should have been recorded too.
Makes sense, I guess, if you didn't bother to read any of the documentation.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to follow all the regulations at Glacier. We will have bear spray. We'll get rid of it when we're out south of there. Yeah, that the Yellow Cult or Yellow Deli.
Oh.
We read about them. We didn't stop in. We were kind of minimizing town stops there anyway. Would have been entertaining to have her talking to the cult, but
That would
next
have been
time.
interesting.
Taters joins a cult? Question mark. Highest rated episode. Right up there with if you'd gotten chased by the machete mermaid for that thumbnail. Naked hiking day. No, we were actually driving, I think, on Naked Hiking Day.
I remember naked hiking down the AT last year. There were a number of people that were nearly naked. I don't think anyone was completely naked.
It was all guys. No,
there were like some loincloths going on.
Those were fanny packs. Yeah, it was cold, so yeah. Yeah, I am a white boy. I burn like crazy as is. I have done the kilt sometimes. Tater's eye roll. Let's see. If you had to choose one, decaf coffee or cold soaking, I would do decaf coffee. Honestly, it's the hot coffee I like. The caffeine helps like get me up and motivated and cheerfully editing videos in the morning. Cold soaking, I like the idea, but hot food is just such a big thing, especially when you just have those miserable days where everything's wet, cold, etc. So, yeah. Favorite part of the ECT was actually Florida Trail. That was the most epic. That had just the most variation. I love the oak hammocks. Some of the images of going through, the waist-deep blackwater swamps, balanced on a log underwater, going, this is crazy. It was difficult, but that was the most memorable. Probably followed by Maine. Because Maine's where I got away from the crowds, after I crossed over Katahdin, and I really enjoyed that. Other parts were nice, but yeah, I think those are the two tops. Yeah, the kilts in the wind. I do like my sports kilt, though. I found if I'm pushing like 25-mile days, chafing's such an issue. I end up having to wear like compression shorts underneath anyway. At which point, it's more of a fashion thing. I do have a rain kilt. That one's actually really exciting if I'm not wearing anything under it because it's very like loose and neon. People don't look because neon.
I don't think you've ever worn that without anything under it.
I did laundry in it before.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds
ULA,
fair.
yeah. Why don't they put me on Instagram with that? Huh. Maybe now that I have a prettier pack, they will. Yeah, bear spray does not work like bug spray. No, what you do is you spray the slowest person in your group. They go down screaming, the bear's then distracted while taking a video. Gotta get that thumbnail. Cool. I really do like hearing that some people like the diving videos because, like I said, the feedback we get on those is some people like them, but I think they're so cool to show off. Because I can't tell people enough just how awesome the feeling of diving is, where it feels like you're flying through the water. And I really wish it was something more people could experience. That's why we're looking at potentially doing like seasonal dive work. Because then it's something where I could be excited, make like crap money, but actually get to do something that feels positive versus IT work, where I enriched a whole bunch of less than stellar people over the years. How many people do we have here? This is the first time I've actually tried to do this live stream, which is surprisingly not straightforward. Hey, if you like the paddling videos, if the CDT works out, one of the things we're looking at next year is we may actually go up to the headwaters of the Mississippi, and we think in her summer period, we can actually paddle all the way down to the ocean, which seems like it'd be pretty cool. We really enjoyed the Green River thing, other than it was too short. It was so frustrating. I'd be like going along, enjoying it, and all of a sudden it's like, damn it, we're to 20 miles, we need to stop. So the one we're looking at doing in Florida is going to be the polar opposite. Like literally we're going to have to do massive days paddling in the dark, chased by gators. You couldn't just do the easy thing. That's still in the planning stages, though. Have I considered where I will hike after the CDT? I don't know what the first one is going to be. We are actively planning a New Year's paddle. I really want to do the Arizona Trail. That's been on my short list for a couple of years now. I just want to do it when I can hike the entire thing. And last time I had an opportunity, the southern terminus and the northern terminus were both closed. So it's possible I do that depending on my other volunteer commitments. And it's also possible that I find one of these other little things. I mean, the San Diego Trans-County Trail that I did, that 150-miler thing, I just found out about that, and then it's like, well, I have like a week, and off I go. There are advantages to, being indigent-ish. See, some people like the dive videos. I'm starting to feel like there's just not that much overlap. Like, you do the paddling videos, you do the hiking videos, same people kind of appreciate it. With the diving videos, it seems like there's less crossover. We've talked about potentially just putting those off on another channel, but then that's even more work on the back end. I had IT work in Southern California, though I also worked for a company out of Dayton, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, but I was always based out of SoCal. And some of the jobs were good for limited periods, but they have a tendency to go downhill, lay people off, have millions of dollars allegedly embezzled, Social Security money stolen, stuff like that, multiple times. North Country Trail, yes. So one of the things I was doing, once I did the PCT, obviously I jumped to, hey, I want to do the Triple Crown. And once I got to where the Triple Crown may actually happen, it's like, well, what am I going to do afterwards? Because this is how my brain works. I'm never content in just sitting there. I was the only one at the end of the PCT who was like, the next trail. Everybody else just wanted to go home. North Country Trail looks really cool. That one I'm nervous about because I like doing the entire trail in one season, and I don't think that's going to be viable on that trail. The hiking season is really short, so you have to do sustained, I think, 40-mile days to be able to do that, and there's some rough snow. So I don't know. It's part of the National Scenic Trail 11. I might just have to live with, doing part of it one year and part of it the next year. But that one looks exciting because I like trails that are in areas I haven't hiked, and that one goes across a lot.
I'm really excited for that.
We're also looking at the Pacific Northwest Trail because we think we can do that over her summer. So we like the ones where we can, potentially do them all together because, somebody has to have a job. We actually dove the springs in Florida a couple of years ago, and I would love to go back, but it's one of those things where it's expensive to dive in Florida. We flew out and we were like, okay, we're going to dive. She had a very reasonable plan of a couple of dives in the morning and then sleep in the afternoon, which I turned into like 15 dives in the week we were there. And we did like 6 dives and then paid $50 for a patch of dirt to camp on at one of the campgrounds. So yeah, we've done Ginny Springs, we've done Devil's Den, we've done Rainbow River, and then we've done a bunch of things off the Keys, the coolest of which was the Vandenberg. So we want to go back and do that. I want to do the Oriskany too, which is a wreck off the east side. It's just time and money like anything. It's one of those things where if I could get work as a DM or an instructor, that might be a place where I would go for, a season. But yeah, especially the Keys, it is just really, really expensive down there. Any chance of climbing Class 5 or caving videos in the future? I used to do peak bagging write-ups. If you look on my firstchurchthemasochist.com site, there are various write-ups where we were doing 5th class, usually lower end 5th class or 4th. But I'm not sure that really lends itself to kind of the style of videos we're doing. I would love to do more caving. We kind of got away from that when I had my knee surgery because crawling around was difficult. But I really enjoyed the caves we did. Lighting would be a problem, though. because you've got no natural light in there. And if you've seen cool video of people in a cave, they had a lighting crew who went in, put floodlights and things like that. I've got an iPhone and a flashlight. So hopefully, yes, on the caving videos. What are we going to watch? That's actually what we're trying to figure out, because some of the shows, like I like The Boys, but she's kind of like not so much on violence there. She's already seen Firefly. I was looking at All Mankind because Severance on Apple Plus was really, really good. And we both like space race sort of things. She actually just got her master's degree in
Space studies.
Oh, I would say space science, but I think that's because of Portal 2.
So it's a Master of Science in Space Studies, so yeah, close enough. We're watching Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, Strange New Worlds. She noped out of Discovery before they started having to give counseling sessions to the ship. I'm not kidding.
First season was really good.
Yeah, I like the original captain. American Discovery Trail. So that's what I keep intending to look into. I think that's like one of those multi-sport trails where there's paddling and other things. But yeah, that's another one that I'm interested in, but I'm not sure I want to be walking across Kansas for however long it takes to walk across Kansas. We also want to bike across the country. So I don't know if we'd do the American Discovery or if we would try and do like a touring cycling thing, which we would also video. Because what else am I going to do?
Yeah, if we're gonna go across Kansas, maybe biking better than hiking.
It's windy in Kansas. I almost did Race Across America years ago, and when you're looking at the people going across Kansas and they're tilted over like this, leaning into the wind, it's like, oh yeah, that's fun. Coffee with carnation instant breakfast. That was a big thing out on the ECT that I kept getting in like hiker boxes and people would give to me. That never seemed like it was hefty enough for me though. So I tried doing the mocha thing a couple of times, mixing it. I mixed it with oatmeal, and in the end I just went back to my peanut butter. Because I like eating while I'm doing the videos and then being able to walk for a good long while. I don't like constant snacking, so I always want something that's heavy. So usually boba bars or, peanut butter. But I wish coffee with the carnation thing was enough calories, because that would make it so much easier in the morning. And I would have an excuse for more coffee. Doing a pilgrimage like hiking the El Camino. Is that one of the...
That's the one in Spain.
So, funny thing is, first time we did the TCT, I really liked having the pack and like getting off transport and just going. And I started looking at the Caminos because it's like, oh, I had students that had done it. And then I looked at the first picture that comes up for the Camino and saw there were like 80 billion people in a conga line the entire way, sleeping in tight quarters. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. So, not if it's any of the ones I'm aware of. There are a bunch of trails I want to do out in Europe, but they would probably be like the more obscure ones. There's a lot of them in Europe that look really cool. We really don't have a problem finding new things to do. Don't die. Or if you die awesome. I used to do a lecture about that in WTC. It was a safety thing because basically you don't want to die stupid, right? If you're the guy that like goes to the bathroom, trips, and then falls on a post and kills yourself, that's dying stupid. You want to be able to have the opportunity to die awesome, so be careful. That's not on the official curriculum. But, yeah, see, I don't even want to be rich being a dive instructor. We've basically switched around here where we've kind of minimized things. And we're, at least for now, trying to make a go of kind of prioritizing quality of life. So I just need to find a job position that at least offsets or makes a little bit of money. And then the other thing is I really just want one that's a good dive operation. Because some of them that I've seen or been to, they're just trying to churn people out. They're not trying to make people who really enjoy diving or are trained well. So I just want to find a place that will give me paid work and that I can work my butt off and then feel, good about it. Also, not getting a bad tank fill again would be really awesome. Congrats, Taters. Did I find Katahdin underwhelming? Not really. I mean, the funny thing is climbing Katahdin, all I could think is this is almost like a West Coast mountain. Because for so much of the AT, you're just in the woods with little overlooks. And then finally you get to Katahdin, and it's actually fun scrambling to get up. And then you have views. And it's like doing some of the desert peaks where you can actually look around. So I wasn't, blown away by it. Oh my God, this thing is horribly imposing. I mean, the amount of fear mongering I heard about the knife edge was just ridiculous. I went over that section and I didn't even realize I'd been over it until I was past. So I wouldn't say it was really underwhelming, but it didn't completely blow me away. And I was bothered by kind of the crowds and all the stress happening at that point. I was really happy once I got on the other side, though. Taters, an astronomer. No?
Any chance of astrophotography on trail? Yeah, not really my thing. Matt would probably be better at taking pictures of the stars than me, because he's at least knows about how to manipulate
This is an old
the
phone.
exposure and all that stuff. So yeah, I've never really gotten into astrophotography.
Yeah, if you ever wonder why, if there's video of me, it looks like a little grainy and with different colors, it's because she has an older phone. And it's cool taking pictures with the phone, but I don't have any apps that'll let you actually get the whole like Milky Way thing with a phone. Master Taters. Woohoo! 100 viewers!
Oh, thanks for coming, everyone. We were afraid no one would show up.
Yeah, it's like, what if we try this and then there's like nobody and we're just sitting here having a conversation with ourselves? I mean, we could have sent a message to mom and dad, try to get them to come in and pretend to be somebody, but woohoo! Is there new gear we're looking forward to using? With me, always. With her, it's like pulling teeth to get her to change anything. I actually have a new pack. As much as I love my catalyst with the colors, it had faded badly with all the horrible things I've done to it. So I actually have another catalyst, but it's made out of ultra material, that new kind of abrasion resistant waterproof thing. So I'm really excited to kind of play with that. It is also a catalyst, but it's a prototype. So that'll be really cool to see how it works.
I got a couple new well, Matt got me a couple new jackets. There's this one that I am highly skeptical of because it's like paper thin, and he said it adds warmth, but I don't see how this paper thin thing is going to add any warmth. So we'll see once we get on trail if it does the trick or not.
It's the Houdini, that orange one that I use for mosquitoes and things. It's a really good wind layer, and when you have bitterly cold wind, it's enough to kind of keep it off of you, but you can still, you're not sweating like you are in a rain jacket. And it's really good in mosquito season. So yes, I bought one for her, so she has that now. Yes, it is an ultra pack. So like I said, I'm kind of excited to try it out. And even like the kangaroo pouch is made out of stretch DCF, which I didn't even know that existed. Sabrina, that seems completely reasonable. I don't see what the problem is here. Camp, nachos, and beer. I haven't had that text message from you that I was allowed to have nachos whenever I wanted. And yet you disapprove so much. The problem is actually finding decent nachos near the trail. The beer, at least, is easy. Why not just get non-folding poles so they don't break? I tried the Z poles that don't collapse down, and I had issues with the particular ones I was using. Any of the ones I've seen that don't collapse at all are like ski poles, and those don't hold up to abuse either. The problem is they're aluminum, so once they get kinked a little bit, they bend and they have the same issue. The poles don't break easy. You got to remember, I'm really abusing those things because I got bad knees and things. The one that I broke on the Condor Trail, I slipped while I was walking up a river, went down on my full weight at a bad angle, and cranked it. I mean, nothing was going to survive that. I have new black diamond poles for this one because they've been really good to me as far as holding up to a reasonable amount of abuse. I mean, like I broke a pole once because I managed to get out of the way of a rock slide that would have broken my leg. It's, things are going to break eventually. Funny story, I did actually cut the handle off of my toothbrush, but it was not for weight reasons. Apparently I do everything with slightly too much enthusiasm, and my dentist was yelling at me because I was like brushing the crap out of my teeth. So what we came up with is I have the handle cut off and I can't actually torque it enough to do damage to my teeth. Because moderation is not my strong suit. Let's see. Have any companies approached you guys for sponsors? No, we're really not that big of a thing. There's so many people out there doing this, and we kind of specifically do videos that are fun versus trying to make just like algorithm bait. We do, ULA has been nice to us, and we do have like an affiliate link for ULA. So if anybody wants to buy a ULA pack, you can do it. So we get like $10, I think. But yeah, nobody's really showed up and gone, oh, here, have a whole bunch of $170 Ultra Olympus shoes. That would be nice. And yeah, I wish we were sponsored by Starbucks because that would have saved us so much. I had a guy talking to me in Florida that claimed he was going to get me sponsored by CS Coffee or something like that. But then he just disappeared one day. So yeah. And also, like, the sponsorship, I should say we do get random emails saying, here, we would like to give you this free piece of gear and then use it. But it's always for like some knockoff t-shirt, and I'm not really going to sit there and go, this t-shirt is the best shirt for hiking. I did think that there was a good option for us to be sponsored by Depends, though. Because, no, that one, there's actually a calling for it. Because, when I'm hiking and I'm on the go and I've got to go, Depends.
He's practiced this, as you can tell. You did get a couple of good things, though, for the van.
Yeah, we've gotten the power stations and stuff like that. Those were, okay, here, review it, and it was something that we really needed, and it worked out. And they didn't put anything about, like, don't say if it bursts into flames or anything like that. But yeah, not so much for hiking companies. I don't think we hit any of the buckets. Though, when you're on video, sometimes we do get random people who want us to, like, shill for $30 dolphin water bottles that, like, give a cent to save a dolphin. Never for me. What are the signs of a good nacho place? Well, you're not in Canada. Sorry, Canada. I love Canada, but the nachos up there were not good. Good nacho place. The red flags are like if they have enchilada sauce on them. Because those are horrible. That's the Avila's has that. But yeah, I'm usually looking for ones that have like meat and a bunch of things on it. The bad ones are usually when they don't have enough cheese, so they're just kind of like dry.
Such a nacho closer.
Yeah, I know. I should have a channel name saying something about nachos, huh? I know an NYC company that would sponsor you. Yes, but it would have to be something we'd actually use. Otherwise, I would just be the guy destroying their pack. I'm pretty sure ULA doesn't have me on their Instagram constantly because I have abused my gear so much, it doesn't look pretty anymore. We should test that, because her pack still looks pretty. The Ryobic fabric is like indestructible. It was just the nylon I got has sun issues. I don't think I've heard of Paragon Sports. What do they do? How is the sea life different from Komodo compared to the Bahamas? We've never been to the Bahamas. Closest we did was off the coast of Florida, and the Florida reefs were actually pretty badly trashed. They had a coral wasting disease and some other things. So mostly we're comparing against like Southern California, Vancouver Island, those areas. But we are hoping to go to Bahamas and a lot of these other places. Ironically, we've ended up diving in Southeast Asia 3 times now. Well, and that's very hard to get to, and all these places like Bonaire, Cozumel, we've never done. I could never really travel growing up, so it's on our list, it's just we need time.
Yeah, from like reading and things, it seems like they have similar kind of ecological niches as far as like similar types of animals, but they have different, versions of them, because all the ones that we see, like Pacific Atlantic, are very different, different types of critters.
Well, and like Komodo is known for the little macro tiny stuff. Unfortunately, that was the one that I really struggled to capture because I have the GoPro. I just don't have the macro like backscatter case. That's the next thing when we, always something else. Some of the other places deal with like bigger things. Like we were looking like Socorro.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year or two, and that's all big stuff like big sharks, big dolphins, things like that, which would be really cool. But it's hard to beat Komodo with all just the mass of life. I was just always hypnotized with all the anthias and everything over the rocks. You can see because I leave like, you know, minutes and minutes of that footage in. Poutine is where it's at in Canada. I didn't get to try poutine because I didn't make it into Quebec. Well, I tried the donut poutine. And that was kind of awesome. Though that was a weird night because it was like on the eve of everything shutting down due to one of the COVID things. But yeah, donut poutine, that was quite awesome. Maritime food is pretty average. Yeah, and I didn't have as many opportunities to eat out. So much of the food along the trail, though, tends to be kind of limited. When we talked about the PCT and liking Ashland so much, part of why we liked Ashland, it was like, oh my God, there's real restaurants that aren't like a single burger joint. Yes. Remember, there was like Indian food and boba and things like that. But I really like the Maritimes. We do want to go back at some point because I've done the IAT across PEI, so I don't feel the need to go back and do that again. But that's not the longest trail across PEI. There's the island walk, which goes like around the entire island, which should be a nice mellow hike to just do sometimes. Granted, the last nice mellow hike we did was the Lone Star Trail, and I spent 2 days vomiting up everything I had eaten out in Texas, because I managed to get through the entire AT without Noro. There was Noro all around, there was Noro in the hostels I stayed at, no Noro. And then we're in freaking Texas, and out of nowhere, Noro. What hoodie do you wear? Are you talking about the sun hoodie, Ann, or one of the other layers?
It's a brand called Anitech.
Oh yeah.
Anitech. They have a lot of good stuff that's like really light and protects you from the sun.
I got it because we got a deal on them. They were on sale a while back. I have them too. I tend to like other brands. The thing is, I'm sweaty, so I have to have something that dries really quick. She is less so, it doesn't matter. That's why on the AT she was wearing long sleeves and pants, and I was running around in my underwear and a tank top, much to everybody's consternation. Black Diamond has a really nice sun hoodie though, if you're looking for one. The Alpine Non-Pro is the one I currently like. Will the beard get trimmed on the PCT? Well, it's the CDT, not doing the PCT. Yeah, I'm hoping not to get it quite as long before it got, COVID length during the ECT, and I kept zipping it up in my jacket. So I'd like to keep that kind of like usable here. She just cares that I don't cut the ponytail.
Yeah, don't cut the ponytail.
That's her priorities. Atnik, the shirt you're using is ATNIK or something like that.
ANICEK.
Yeah. And Black Diamonds is the one that I really like. No, Melissa, Taters is only doing the first 7 weeks. So we're hoping she'll be with me through the grizzly areas till about Yellowstone. And then she'll leave as things get really unpleasant in Colorado, and I'm freezing my butt off with who knows what's going on. Hardest hike. That one's hard because there's so many different ways for things to be difficult. Beard deep in a swamp was difficult in some ways. Getting just nailed by Hurricane Elsa last year was difficult in some ways. The Condor Trail, as everybody has commented on, was a little bit rough here and there.
I think that's been your hardest.
That 8-hour bushwhack across Black Cone was traumatic. So yeah, probably that one overall. Favorite hike as far as through hikes, probably the PCT, but again, it's the PCT in the COVID year where there wasn't huge crowds. I really liked that year where only 300 of us finished the trail, and I didn't feel like I was constantly in giant crowds. Because I like meeting people, but I like camping off alone. Okay. Hey, Mary Lynn. The Tour Divide bike race is on. Yeah, I saw something on that. It's not exactly the same as the walking route, and the walking route isn't a single route. The CDT is basically, you think of it like a corridor, and it's near the actual geographic divide, not always on it, but there are a ton of alternates. And most people who are hiking it, from what I've seen, are not actually doing 3,100 miles. The last guidebook I was looking at said most people's hikes can be anywhere from about 2,200 to like 3,200 because of all the alternates. So even the trail isn't, the same. The bike route goes through like roads and other things, is my understanding. Let's see. Scariest animal encounter. It was the dogs.
Sounds like an opening to tell your favorite story.
That wasn't scary. That was amusing. So, scariest animal encounter for me is always the dogs, because I had, pit bulls that were trying to get at me, and those can really mess you up if they get at you. And trying to fend one off for a half mile as they're snarling, snapping at you. And at one point, I had a hiking pole in this hand and a hiking pole in this hand, holding off a pack with dogs on either side, which I didn't record because I was fighting dogs off with my hiking poles. That was the scariest. I've had plenty of other encounters. Bears are not a worry. Most bear problems are human problems. I've had mountain lions. Oh, I did have a mountain lion stalk me down a mountain in the dark on Thanksgiving. I had to call a friend of mine on my cell phone and say, hey, a mountain lion is chasing me down this hill. I'm going to stay on the phone so it knows I'm human. FYI, if it sounds like I'm mauled by a mountain lion, I'm out here. So that was fun. But even that wasn't super scary. The one she's talking...
That was super scary.
That's
terrifying.
No, when I could see the mountain lion and it was like stalking me down the ridge, at least I knew where it was. When it left, and all of a sudden I'm walking after dark all alone, and I can't see the big mountain lion, then you start thinking, what if it's a smart mountain lion? What if its den is down that way? And it's like, I'm not going to kill him here. I'm going to let him walk here, pounce out, and eat him. That was the disturbing part. My friends were highly amused by it, because they're like, oh yeah, it's Matt. Of course the mountain lion's staring at him while they're at Thanksgiving dinner. The story she was talking about is actually, years ago we were doing a cave. We're camped outside the cave, last day of this long trip, doing like 5th class climbing, caving, lots of fun. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm woken up to this friend of ours screaming, Matt, it's biting me, it's biting me. Dark, remote trailhead, not sure what's going on. I come awake, I'm like fighting out of my sleeping bag, trying to figure out what's going on. Rush out to him, and he's got like blood going down his face, and he's like, yeah, something was biting me, it ran off. And we hear a noise, Jen was there with me, and we look up with our headlamps, and it's like, there's a skunk over there, there's a skunk over there, there's a skunk over there. It briefly felt like we were surrounded by skunks and they were all converging. I thought I was going to have to like grab my friend and drag him to the Jeep and like take off. But we shined the lights on them and they backed off. So okay, now we're sitting there and we realize that this friend of ours had had his face munched on by a skunk. That's weird. What do you do? Well, first we're letting him like clean up, and so we give him some water and he's washing the blood off. We're trying to see how bad the wound is. It's not like gushing blood. And then the cutest little baby skunk you've ever seen hops up on the foot of his sleeping bag and just kind of like looks at him like this. At which point our friend gave a very dignified "Blah!" flung the water bottle at this baby skunk. It's now wet, kind of goes, wanders off. Nobody was sprayed during this entire thing. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So so now we have fought off the skunks. Our friend is not actively bleeding, and we're trying to figure out what to do. Well, what do you do if you're like a modern person and you're not sure if this is an absolute emergency, right? You get your cell phone out and you try and get 1 bar of reception so you can Google skunk bite to the face, is it an emergency? Turns out that doesn't happen very much. All the cases were dogs, and we ended up taking him, we decided that we could survive the night. So we just went back to bed, pulled his bedroll like 10 feet away, and then in the morning took him off to the ER. Which was a whole other thing. Couple, I don't even know, but we've known each other since 2009.
Yeah.
So we've known each other like forever. She was like 18 in a day at the time and just wanted to climb mountains.
We met in a rock climbing class.
Yeah. And then she's been coming on like various climbs and trips and things for years and years and years. Were we worried about crocodiles while wading through the Everglades? I did some research on that, and the research I saw basically said that you only have to worry about them in mating season and when the water is low. The water was the opposite of low. It was like a 15-year high, and it wasn't mating season, so I didn't have to worry about like randy gators trying to get in the tent. But the biggest risk was apparently them thinking that you're like a small animal, the size they would eat. So I was really careful when filtering water. I didn't do it around sunset, and I got something where I could scoop and move back versus like holding a smart water bottle under and jiggling, trying to look like a little chicken. So I didn't worry about them that much. I mean, honestly, I kept trying to get pictures of them because everybody was wigging out about, you're in Florida, gators are going to rip your leg off. And they were shy. Like when people talk about there's a gator charging at them, they're walking along the canal and they'll actually plop into the water to hide. They're not coming towards you, they just are that shy. So yeah, the only one that was actually a problem was that one that was staring me down on that bridge. And that one was only like 3 foot. I just didn't want to step over him, get my leg ripped off, and then become Florida man.
I'm glad you didn't step over the crack.
I thought he was dead. I mean, I literally poked him under the chin because he wouldn't move. So yeah, I wasn't worried about that. Ticks were kind of a bigger concern for me, especially knowing the issues on the AT. Any new gear? The big one, like I was saying earlier, is I actually have a prototype catalyst made out of Ultra fabric, which is the new fabric that's going to be replacing the DCF that's now on shortages everywhere. So I'm really excited about that because I'm hoping I can't destroy it. The only bummer is it's not neon green and orange, but oh well. Let's... We've been a little under the weather since coming back from Indonesia, so Taters keeps like jumping out to sneeze and blow her nose. You're nicer to them. You do it all in the middle of my stuff. Okay, did you find it as difficult to hike through Big Cypress on the FT as it was hiking steep inclines or summiting a peak? With my knees, I actually find going uphill is easier than going down. So, going up, it's usually just leg muscles, and you can train that. Big Cypress, I mean, it was difficult, but it was also really cool and different. It was a little bit exhausting having to slog through some of the sections, especially where you had those kind of like leg breaker holes there, where I had to be really careful not to step in them. Oh, and the gum swamps. I got all excited because it's like wall of TTs, and I'm like... And then it turns out it's a gum swamp, which means you sink down to your knee in this stuff that's the consistency of warm gum. So yeah, that was probably a little more difficult than, your average peak climb, where again, it's just you're going up, and as long as your pack's not that big of a thing. And the steep inclines up I can do. The steep inclines down, like on the AT, those were kind of a challenge. Favorite brand of hiker coffee? I've tried a lot of them. There's a few I want to try, like CS Coffee I keep getting like ads for, but they don't sell it in bulk. Starbucks Colombian is the one that has been the most evergreen. That's the one that we're always getting. Maxim, which is an import from Korea. I did that for a long time, but burned out, went back to Starbucks. The others, there are like certain brands of like Nescafe, the Colombian, that's okay. But you really can't beat the Starbucks Via. I really wish that they would sponsor me and just say, here is all the coffee you can drink. Actually, no, I'd probably die. On the dive boat, there was a machine where you just put your coffee cup in and it like grinds and makes the coffee for you. I really had to watch not like drinking too much coffee. Last thing you want is, time to dive! I'm feeling like pulse palpitations as you're jumping off the boat. And, of course, when I can get fresh coffee, like Starbucks Dark off the trail, that's the thing I really want. Thanks, Kyle! It's always awesome to hear that people enjoy this. Because like I said, we're still kind of amused by all this. I, for 10 years, was doing write-ups on my webpage just for kind of fun and to document stuff. And maybe got a comment every 6 months. So it was just throwing stuff out, working hard on it, but very little feedback. So it's just really awesome that we've had so many people and we get so many comments. If you hear a gator enter the water, he is afraid. They hunt in silence. Yeah, when we did a paddle out in the Everglades also, Turner River, going through the mangroves, which was really cool, and I would do that again. And we went right by them. There was one huge one that we had to go within like 2 feet of, and that one was a little nerve-wracking. But you figure they're going to go for the smaller prey that's like giggling. Other than that, it was fine. Best way to sleep while through hiking. Basically, hike a 10 to 14 hour day, and you generally will sleep really well no matter what. Sleeping bag wise, it has to be something that's warm enough for you. Personally, I am a guy, so I tend to generate heat. However, I'm a wimp as far as feeling cold. It's not like getting hypothermic. I just don't like feeling borderline cold. I love memory bags, and I swear by Western Mountaineering. If I had unlimited funds, I would probably own a -10 Western Mountaineering. Why did that face? Okay, huh. Doing that again, huh? And I find those are a lot more comfortable when you have like borderline conditions, like when we're in the hurricanes and other things. As far as the bedding, I like the Nemo Tensor as far as it's more comfortable and it insulates you. But on a through hike, I just don't have the energy to blow it up every day, not to mention deal with getting a hole in the sleeping pad for the nth time. Because on the PCT...
Yeah, you started with that on the PCT and went through 3 in about 3 weeks.
And I was being careful. I was only using them in the tent, and I was, doing everything I could, but I'm just hard on things. So for me, that Nemo switchback just works really well. I don't think I could have slept on it at the start of the PCT, but you kind of harden up after you're on trail for a while, and that works pretty well. It was in sad shape by the end of the Condor Trail, and I do have a new one now. Also comes in bright orange, which, good color. So yeah, I also do own a quilt. Those are really popular, and I do use one in the summer. But quilts just have the top, so you kind of tuck it in. That doesn't work as well for cowboy camping because I've had bugs and things crawling underneath. And also, if I go askew on the sleeping pad, I'm basically in the dirt. So I mostly use my quilt when I'm using a bivvy, just because it's a good combo. But, a lot of people swear by them. So you just have to see what works for you. Thanks, Christian. Yeah, we're really excited for a lot of the areas. Well, I was really excited. Then you tried to freak me out about the CDT, so now I'm stressing out. I'm excited for all the areas we're going to go through. I keep seeing pictures from people I know. There's a couple of PCT 2020 folks that I'm still in touch with, and they're currently going through Colorado. So I keep seeing those pictures, and I'm like, ah. And then I see that it's cold, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, it's going to be really fun once we get out there. A little bummed about the grizzly closure, but presumably even if we're on the road in Glacier, it's going to be beautiful because it's Glacier. So the premium instant coffee, if you're talking about the thing that comes in the little tin, I actually bought some of that, and I got the dark, and it was just too bitter. I was never able to make it where it held up well. And I generally like things that are in individual packets, even though I don't like the trash it generates. Because if you're out in nasty enough weather for long enough, you get moisture in there, and all of a sudden your precious coffee supply is molding, and that would be very sad. That's like, the camera's broken, maybe we have to go home, sort of emergency levels. The Walmart in Tehachapi. I remember the Walmart in Tehachapi. That was where you were recognized.
No, that was on the AT.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago.
No, we did shop at Walmart in Tehachapi, though.
Oh, that's where Lamb got yelled at by somebody because she was wearing a mask. Good times. Bear bag or bear canister? We're following the Glacier rules, which are a hang bag, so I've got that same Z-Packs food bag I was using on the ECT. And anywhere where we are not in a place like Glacier that explicitly requires something, the plan is to sleep with the food. I'm a big believer that bear hanging is not ethical because the bears can defeat it. And if anybody's about to yell at me, Skirka has an article on this. That's the one I usually share. And you can call me an idiot. He tends to be well regarded. And I just think that so many of the issues on the AT are because people try and do bear hangs. And even in ideal conditions, bears can sometimes defeat a bear hang. So we are actually going to have the food inside the tent in between us. And I don't even know how many thousands of miles of doing that. That's what I do everywhere except the Sierra, basically. Why not fill a Ziploc full of coffee? Well, A, because the Starbucks Colombian doesn't come in bulk packs like that. And if I bring actual grounds, I've done all the various pour overs and other things. They tend to take a lot of water, which doesn't fit with dry camping. And I drink coffee like really, really hot. I don't have to worry about her stealing my coffee. A, because she likes cow lactate in it.
Stop that.
Look at it. Stop rolling your eyes. Except they're probably clapping every time you do. And it cools down by the time you do the pour over. So, yeah, I bring a Ziploc full of coffee, but it's, the Starbucks Via. Let's see. Thank you, Tim. We are really looking forward to getting out there. Would you want to do the Great Divide Trail continuous north from the CDT? Yes, actually. I really enjoyed hiking in Canada. I really enjoyed being in Canada. And the GDT looks really interesting. I actually know somebody who is doing that this year. It's one of the people, the couple that came to help me out getting from New Brunswick to PEI. Apparently the permit situation out there is kind of crazy though. So you have to get all your permits for like reserved campsites, kind of like what we were looking at in Quebec. That stresses me out a little bit, but we'll just wait for the next pandemic, I guess. Monkeypox takes off, GDT. Yeah, I actually started looking at it initially because I'm like, well, if I do the CDT and it's at the end, maybe I could tack it on. It's just like if I did the AT northbound again, I wouldn't stop at Katahdin. I would go do the main IAT and just stop at the border because it was a cool, section. So yeah, it's on the list, but it's a very long list. And there's surprisingly, even without working, even with just the volunteer commitments and things like that, we're still always struggling for time, ironically. I had so many other things I wanted to do this year, though I did get up to a shocking number of little prep hikes.
The summertime in particular is at a premium. We've got more than enough wintertime.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have limits to where you can hike. Yeah, I know there's some information out there. I just, the reserving the campgrounds, I think, would be the trick. And then I'd have to see, because if it's something like putting me at AT-style shelters every night, that would be a hard sell. I really like hiking. I don't even mind hiking around crowds usually, because I'll chat with people. Unlike certain people that, get all antisocial. But I just don't like tight camping quarters. PCT, I was out there for 140 some days. Only camped around other people 4 times. And one of those was involuntarily. Melissa just decided she was going to hang out with me. And then in the morning I get up and I'm like, good morning. And she asked me if I'd unzipped her tent. I'm like, no. Did somebody else? No people, no drama. I'm telling you, it's the best way to go about it. Is that the area that we were talking about looking for?
No, Adirondack is in New York.
Yeah, I thought that was that area we had talked about. I mean, yes, there are basically every area I haven't hiked I would like to go. I was the same with doing peaks. If you go on Peak Bagger, you can get a master summit list that shows all the peaks I've climbed. And I would display that, look for where I didn't have a peak, and then try and find something to climb, even if it was a stupid bump that nobody would ever do. How far did we go in to climb Molly's Nipple? Very far in, but entertaining name, and I didn't have a peak there. So yes, there are a bunch of East Coast trails, and assuming I can ever spare a summer, one of the ideas is to actually chain a bunch of them together, because after you start doing 3,000 mile hikes, a trail that's 200 or 400 miles, you're like, oh, that's cute. So I was thinking I could go and do the long trail, then do the Ice Age trail, and gap a whole bunch of them together and make a decent summer. So yes, I basically want to hike all the things. If the IAT out in Europe would be so cool to just go to Morocco. Though I was talking to Bill Duffy, who's one of the IAT coordinator people, and he was telling me how like in Morocco there isn't a trail. You get a guide. He takes you over some mountain range, however he thinks you should go and is safe, and that's the IAT. And then I think England just said all trails are on the IAT, and they went, no, they're not. That's not how it works. And they're like, here it is. So it would be a very different experience, and I don't know if it would be doable as far as the season. But again, with unlimited money, I would love to fly to Morocco and basically do the IAT all the way back until Newfoundland. Which that was my one regret on the ECT. If I could have continued to Newfoundland, that looked really cool. And that is a very roundabout way to answer, would we want to hike in New York? But yeah, we have Google Docs filled with like all these various things we've looked at and wanted to hike. And I keep finding all these really, really obscure ones. Like some people have heard of the Oregon Desert Trail. There is actually a desert trail that doesn't just go through Oregon. It actually starts down at the Mexican border. I did the first couple of days of it. And it was another one of those where I had to dig holes in the desert to leave food and water. But I would actually really like to do something like that. There's the Hot Spring Trail proposal, which is another one of these 2,000 mile things that goes from California up through Idaho into the border. I think it would be fun to do more stuff like that. Just time. And, you know, my knees can't go out on me.
Aww.
Taters Tuesday will continue, even if you have to be harassed into it.
Hopefully I can think of enough things to talk about.
Oh, hey! Groovy and Hermit. Hey, guys. Thanks again for helping us out on...
TCT.
Oh, yeah, the Transcam. See, they all run together. I'm like, I know I was hiking. It was a lot of fun chatting with you about the PCT as that drugged out woman accused us of getting too close to her vortices or whatever was going on. Any opinion on the Ursac bear bags? Yes, I have opinions on those. I'm not the biggest fan of them. They're not actually bear proof. I can send you pictures I have of what happens if a bear gets a hold of them. Theoretically, if you put the Kevlar liner on, they will keep the bear from getting to your food. However, they will gnaw it, and you will have the crunched up remains of your food covered in bear drool, which Chex Mix, crunched, bear drool. Yeah. I think people use them just as kind of a placebo. We sleep with our food just in a standard Z-Packs sack. I don't think that the odor-proof bags do anything, and I don't think that the Ursacs are really that helpful. I know some people use them as wrap bags. Again, I find that if I really burrow my food down inside of the pack, inside of the tent, I don't have issues with mice. The times I've had issues with mice or bears, it's really where the campsite was, not how I was storing food. So yeah, I do own one of them because I used it for a while on the PCT just because I needed a new food bag, but I'm not a big fan of them, and they're not allowed in a lot of areas. Where we originally were hiking a lot, the Sierra Nevada, you gotta have a hard-sided canister. Which is not that bad to use. You know, you just get used to, you've got this sideways canister on top of your sleeping bag. Having said that, we're not using that on this one. The Wonderland Trail. No, I don't think that crosses at all with the PCT. That's the one that goes around Rainier.
Around St. Helens.
I thought it was the one around Rainier. I had a friend who went up and did that one. I think that one was on the short side. It's a pretty area, and I'd love to do it, but as far as the next hike up in that area, the one that we're really excited for is Pacific Northwest Trail. Because it's 800 miles, and if we start that right when her school year sets out, we could actually do the entire thing.
Yay.
So then I'd have somebody through Grizzly Country. And it's just really pretty up there. West of the PCT. Yeah, I was looking over at at the mountain, and so I could see it. And yeah, permits are one of those things that are kind of off-putting. Like, I've never been to Havasupai, and it's such a mess to get permits. I'm kind of like, maybe that's not the best thing. It's actually good they're making the permits harder to get on certain things. I mean, the situation now on Half Dome is so much better than before they issued permits. But we'll see. That's probably the sort of thing where we have an opening, we put in for the permits. If we get it, we do it. If not, we just let it be. Buckskin Gulch is another one that we did a couple of years ago. I have write-ups on my webpage on it. I would go do that again just to have the videos of it because there are so many cool spots in that. It's the longest slot canyon in either the U.S., possibly the world. And the permits are different. They actually... Whoa, oh. Sorry, she's just taking calls.
Sorry.
The permits are for how many people are in the entire wilderness area. So normal permits are they allow X people to start per day. Here you only have 25 people in the entire canyon, so you actually feel like you're having a wilderness experience. And you're just walking through the river with these giant walls that are just towering above you. Really cool. We hiked the 50 miles in Crocs doing that, which was not the way to do it. So yeah, again, we have so many of these things we want to do. If only you could just become, like, independently wealthy. Have you thought of investing in, like, I don't know, lotto tickets? Why did we have to sell our van? Little otter. What does Taters teach?
Oh, I teach high school chemistry. So chemistry is like 10th grade mostly, and then physics is 11th grade mostly. And I love it. Super fun. Awesome labs in chemistry, awesome projects in physics. So yeah, it's a lot of fun and a pretty good schedule getting the 10 weeks off in summer.
I don't know. See, when I was doing IT, it seemed like 10 weeks off in summer was awesome. Because, IT, they give you 4 weeks, but you're not allowed to take them together. So it seemed like she was off forever. Now, it's like, that's all she has. We only have 7 weeks till she has to leave.
Oh, yeah, I know. So tough.
Yeah.
So tough.
Indigence. Also, in addition to teaching physics and chemistry, she also does a CubeSat program for her school, which are these little satellites, which is a really cool thing, and robotics. So she's busy. And you're department chair now.
Yes.
And yeah, it is a bummer schedule-wise because, she didn't want to leave when she left on the AT. She would have liked to finish with me. Same on the PCT, she got to do up to the California border. But it gives us a lot of flexibility, and it's nice that somebody has a job that is stable. Unless California bursts into flames again.
Yeah, if you have chemistry questions, go ahead and send them over.
I'll answer gear questions, she'll do chemistry questions. Because all of my chemistry knowledge at this point comes from Breaking Bad. Which, yes, she does the egg drop.
We do something cooler than the egg drop. We actually stick the eggs on the front of a bottle rocket.
Oh.
And they have to protect their passenger during its rocket flight.
That sounds dangerous. Yeah, I am always kind of blown away with how much the science programs have changed. Because when I was in high school, late 90s, it was a lot of like sitting there and just copying things down. Like they tried to beat my excitement about science out of me. And now they're doing all this cool like investigative stuff. And I keep thinking like, how all those high school movies where they were played by 30-year-olds, maybe I can just like sneak in? No, a little too much gray. Oh well. See, and you got proofing help on lab reports now. Does Taters know how to make blue meth? Have you even seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I watched Breaking Bad, but no, that's contrary to popular belief. That's actually not something they teach us in teacher prep school.
Don't you just make meth and add blue food coloring? I do that with green things.
I have no idea what was up with the blue meth. Yeah, I don't know anything about that reaction.
But yeah, I keep trying to get her to dress up as Heisenberg for like Halloween, The videos I've tried to record while hiking end up being nausea-inducing. Do you have some kind of image stabilization? The iPhone actually does a lot of that natively. Oh, wow. Thank you. We haven't had hiker wine in a good long while. Thank you, HH. So I'm just using the basic image stabilization. If you use the application LumaFusion, there are a couple of others. It has image stabilization that you can apply. The only problem with that is it can get a little odd. I tried doing it with some of the dive videos where all this little like jiggling bothers me, and things start warping as it tries to stabilize. Biggest thing I can say is just avoid using the fisheye lens. Like doing it on a GoPro, whenever I have the fisheye lens, it's very easy to make it nausea-inducing. The very first video I tried to do was of Grand Gulch. And I did a lot of moving like this, and everybody, the 3 people that watched it all complained I was making them sick. And then the other thing is just you try and do kind of like sweeping motions. So you don't go, oh, look at this, look at this. It's just like very deliberate motions. And that seems to do a little better. I'm also a big fan of the iPhone in general as far as the Okay. So, uh-oh. Dennis says they lost sound. Uh-oh. That must be on your end. We're still getting sound on the laptop coming through. By the way, that is the maps that are at the start of all of my videos. Those are made by Dennis here, who's also the Dennis who was helping us out so much on the AT. So thank you again, Dennis. Those maps are so amazingly awesome. It was really, really janky the way I was doing them on the AT, and it drove me crazy. Okay. Everybody got any other questions? Otherwise, we are about to hit 100 minutes. And Tater's stomach is grumbling sterilely. So when you get the eye roll plus the stomach growling,
Hey!
we're a little person. Any desire to finish the Gaspé Peninsula? Yes and no. I ran into a gentleman while I was hiking through, I think, New Brunswick. All of a sudden, this guy like comes over and he's like, "Bonjour, Masochist!" And I'm like, "Hi." His description of Quebec sounded like the AT on steroids, as far as you had to reserve the campsites and things like that. And that was not my favorite. My favorite is doing the like out in the middle of nowhere camp all alone. That's what I started doing when I was backpacking in the Sierra Nevada. But yes, just because I'd like to complete all of it, I'd like to go back at some point. Honestly, I'm more excited for Newfoundland. When I was figuring out where I was going to go and ending in Nova Scotia, I did talk to the coordinator for the Newfoundland section of the IAT and got super excited. He's talking about there's very little trail, you're out in the middle of nowhere just like hiking along, and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. But winter. So, yeah, probably at some point it's just going to be a matter of timing.
I'd like to do the Quebec section sometime.
It is supposed to be
Everything
pretty.
we saw about it said it was spectacular. We just gotta avoid hunting season, caribou mating season. And
angering the IAT Quebecian people. They're a little touchy. I didn't do anything. Newfoundland looked awesome though. That was about 400 miles. Thoughts on a future book? Funny thing on that, I actually started trying to edit the PCT write-ups I did into like an ebook form because I kind of figured I like writing and that was just too long for a web page. My problem is we're not sitting still long enough. Right now, I am scrambling to try and finish the dive videos from the last trip before we leave on this trip. The amount of time I have to like do all the other projects I'm working on, I'm always lagging behind, which is a hell of a problem to have. Because I spent a lot of time after the ECT working on condensed videos for like sections. Because I thought I could put like the Florida section all in one video, edit out all the me just blabbing about random gear and things, and that would be cool for us to look back on. And it's still in progress because, again, just not good at sitting still, but sometime maybe. Yeah, I was glad you're all able to make it. And Stitch, let us know what the diving was like out there, because that's on the short list we may be looking at next spring break.
Yeah, we want to know details.
And advice on how to make it through the Southern PCT without dying of dehydration. It all comes down to when you do it. The people leaving in March, this is my opinion, but I'm from SoCal. Leaving in March puts you in a bad weather window as far as you're going to hit snow on San Jacinto and other places. Leaving too late means you have heat. The desert wasn't that bad when I did it. We had a couple of 95-degree heat waves, but you can plan your water. It's not like you are out there, like on the Condor Trail, I might do a 15-mile carry and I didn't know if there was water at the other end. On the PCT, you always know that at the end of that 17-mile carry, there is water. And then it's just a matter of, if it is so hot that you're not functioning well, you hike it in the evening. Having said that, the desert is really, really cool. That was actually one of my favorite sections of the PCT. Because I've done the Sierra before, so that was everybody's favorite section, but I'd already done that. And the desert was just very kind of formative. And the other thing is lemonade packets. I didn't do this on the PCT, but what I've found is if I put a lemonade packet in like 1.5 liters of water, I can chug it a lot better and kind of camel up. Funny thing, HH, I've actually threatened that several times. I'm like, if I had time, it would be eye roll supercut. And also that's what she said once, but also cause. Oh, there it went again. Make sure you're not having strokes or something. But okay, thanks again everybody for coming. This has been a lot of fun. It was a little hard to set up, but maybe we'll see about doing them again sometime. Okay, now if I can figure out how to... oh no.